Welcome to The Balancing Act. I'm Julie Moran.
And I'm Olga Viverdi. Today we're learning more about interstitial cystitis, bladder pain syndrome. A heartfelt story is coming up.
Another disease that can be heart-wrenching is Parkinson's, and we've got information for patients, caregivers, and communities.
And you know, they say an apple a day keeps the
doctor away.
There you go. So we've sent Amber Milt to Apple Country in upstate New York. She is going to be telling us more about these beautiful new varieties of apples.
All right, I say let's get this show started.
Let's do it. By the way, quiz, how do you say apple in Spanish?
I don't know, tell me.
Manzana.
Manzana. Let's get going. We sent the apple of our eye, Amber Milt, to upstate New York to learn more about the apple industry.
That's right. These beauties right here were developed in the Empire State and grown by dedicated farmers.
And here's Amber with more.
I'm here at beautiful Hurd Orchards in Holly, New York, and they're just one of 145 growers and family farms in New York State who comprise Crunch Time apple growers. Now, these farmers are dedicated to producing the freshest, most responsibly grown apples in the country. In my opinion, some of the most delicious, combining sustainability with legacy. Amy and Sue, thank you so much for having me at these beautiful orchards today.
Thank you for coming.
This is a family-owned business. How long has this orchard been in your family?
Well, our family came here as pioneers in the early 1800s, so actually it's 200 years that our farms have been in our family. My mom's the 6th generation on our farm, and I'm the 7th, and my daughter Amelia is the 8th. But my mother and I have been in partnership since 1985, so a really long time.
So Joel, you're on the board of directors for Crunch Time Apple Growers. Tell us a little bit about the history of the co-op.
I think it all starts with Cornell University. And Cornell has been a backbone of the New York apple industry for a long time. They've helped us develop really high quality apples to bring to market, whether it's storage regimen or the actual growing practices. And they also have a world-class breeding program. And this breeding program was due to release a couple new apple varieties, and New York apple growers got together and they said, we need to have a way to bring these 2 new varieties to market. We got together and formed a cooperative called Crunch Time Apple Growers.
The 2 varieties, SnapDragon and RubyFrost, were created by Dr. Susan Brown of Cornell University to provide an apple that was easier to grow for farmers, thus delivering a better return on their crop. They were not engineered, but rather developed by grafting tree root as they did hundreds of years ago by hand.
My apples are a combination of genes from the 2 parents, like what happened in nature, but what's different as an apple breeder is I can make 3,000 children and then select the best one. We don't have that, the ability to do that in humans. So it's a very natural process, and it allows us to follow the genes just like in humans. I can look at genes that the grandparents hold or the parents hold. And so in making SnapDragon, we took Honeycrisp as one parent, and we took a parent that we knew would give good quality. And I wanted to reduce the disorders, and I wanted to create an apple that had a little bit more of apple flavor.
SnapDragon apples are called the apple with the monster crunch. They're super juicy and perfect for fresh eating. Very sweet with a hint of spice. RubyFrost apples are picked fresh in the fall and ripen in cold storage. Winter fresh, they have a very firm texture and are slow to brown and high in vitamin C.
It is the Cinderella apple. You know, it's a perfect, when you think of the perfect apple. Red, red, red all around, hard, 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 crunchy, crunchy, wonderful flavor.
So Brett, as a grower, you spend so much time, money, effort. I bet there's a lot of love that go into these apples. Why are these varieties ones that you want to choose and grow?
It's an investment in our future for the farm there. They have a different flavor about them, a unique profile to them that just I fell in love with.
I know your family has been farming here in New York since the 1800s.
My grandfather just turned 100 years old in December, and they taught me a lot about what I do, about the passion of what I do, the love of it. To turn the same soil that they turned over 100 years ago, it just instills a sense of pride and love for what I do in there. And I want my kids to have that, the next generation of that pride. My son just is going to turn 2 years old in June. He already spends his days in the summertime out in the orchards with me, looking at the apples and the trees and taking care of them. We have the benefit of having large bodies of water and a little bit of cooler climate here. Come harvest there, our sunlight in New York is perfect for coloring these apples up and giving them that nice red color to it.
As a direct marketer of apples, you're involved in the shipping. Tell us about that process.
I work with growers in the field, and I work to make sure that we harvest apples in an optimal time for quality and flavor. From there, they go to cold storage, and in cold storage, we put them at temperatures that keep them fresh for when we pack. And out of the cold storage, we pack them, so we inspect the apples, we wash the apples, we grade the apples, and then we package them for the grocery stores.
Let's talk a little bit about organic farming, right? There's been such a push for buying organic. Do you think that that's important?
Well, like I said, my sister and I are fifth-generation farmers. We've been farming for that long on the same exact property, and we are real caretakers of that land. And there is nobody that is more passionate about keeping that land prosperous than we are. We invest a lot of time and money and resources into learning the best way and the most environmentally friendly way to grow apples that we possibly can. My whole family lives around and in the middle of our orchard, and I don't have any hesitation living there and surviving there and growing this fruit, because I think that everybody should just eat more apples.
And what is one of the things that you hope to pass down to your children about this whole experience, this lifestyle that you've gotten to live?
There's so many things, actually. You know, I just think it's great to be able to connect to your roots, both literally and figuratively, and be able to get your hands dirty and really get to see the fruits of your labor. I mean, from planting a tree to taking care of it for years before it even produces apples is amazing. And then watching the produced apples and pack it and ship it and then see it in a store or on TV. I mean, that's so cool. So I just love the whole process and really want it to continue, and hopefully for many, many more generations.
Well, I've had so much fun today learning about both the RubyFrost and SnapDragon. I don't know which one is my favorite. Well, that's pretty good.
SnapDragon or RubyFrost? I don't know.
Well, let's just say they're both equally sweet, but if I had to pick one, I'm dressed like a dragon, right? So I'm going to say SnapDragon.
With Dragon. I'll go with RubyFrost.
And if you want to learn more, go to crunchtimeapplegrowers.com, SnapDragonApple.com, or the one she chose, RubyFrostApple.com.
And there's always much more information on our website, thebalancingact.com. These are some good-looking apples.
They're good no matter what. They're all great.
All great.
Fantastic.
It's a disease that affects an estimated 5.5 million women and men in the United States. However, only about 1 million patients are properly diagnosed and treated.
Interstitial cystitis bladder pain syndrome is defined as an unpleasant discomfort or sensation related to the bladder and associated with lower urinary tract symptoms, including frequency and urgency. Oftentimes, patients' lives are impacted far beyond the physical symptoms.
And we travel to Northern California to learn more. Take a look.
Today, Stacey Carnazzo is meeting with her urologist. Since her official diagnosis of interstitial cystitis bladder pain syndrome in 2010, these appointments have become a part of her routine.
Well, good afternoon.
For her, it's a relief to finally have help. 8 years ago, she had no idea what was happening.
I would be out hiking with my friend. We'd take long 2-hour hikes, and on the hike, I would notice that I was feeling like I had to go to the bathroom, and I thought, oh, that's really strange because I just left home and I shouldn't be feeling that. But, you know, it'd kind of go away, and I didn't think twice about it at the time until a couple months later when it was coming back and I was feeling like I needed to go to the bathroom all the time, and having constant feeling of having to urinate. One time I expressed to my doctor that I feel like I have an elephant sitting right here on my abdomen at all times. It's just so much pressure that you never have any relief from it, and it's constant pain. I would say that I probably use the restroom 20-25 times a day, and at night 5-6 times a night, waking up to go to the bathroom, but not really having to go to the bathroom, so it's very frustrating. Sometimes it's burning, which is really uncomfortable. Sometimes it's just strictly pain. A lot of times for me, it's just constant pressure of having to use the restroom, and no matter how often I go, I don't have any relief from that feeling.
So far, so good. It's been a pretty good week also, so I can't complain.
As a first grade teacher, she would have to leave her classroom repeatedly. Daily life was a challenge.
I don't have a job where I can just walk away and say I need to use the restroom, I'll be right back, to 25 6-year-olds, because it just doesn't work. Fortunately, the way my classroom's set up, I have open doors with other teachers, so I would be able to open the door, and my colleagues were very supportive and helpful, and I would just run out and use the restroom fairly close, so it was pretty quick, and it didn't help me to use the restroom. I still felt that constant pressure, but I just had to do what I had to do. Oftentimes when we'd go somewhere, that's what I would worry about. Can I make it? How many bathroom stops are we gonna need to get to Davis to see my kids at college? Where could I go? Whenever I went somewhere, it was the first thing I said was, where's the bathroom?
Interstitial cystitis is a poorly understood but identifiable disease. Patients have specific lesions in the bladder that can be biopsied, can be followed. And bladder pain syndrome patients have very similar symptoms, but they have normal bladders. And it turns out that the two conditions are not the same.
According to Dr. Pain, proper diagnosis of IC-BPS comes with an in-depth consultation, careful review of patient's history, and a thorough physical exam.
We're trying to figure out where the pain is coming from. And we think that starts with a good history. How did the problem start? What was going on at the time? What are the things that make the pain better and worse? And then usually the only routine testing that we might do on a patient the first time would be to look at the urine under the microscope, get a urinalysis and culture, and possibly get a check of how much urine is left over after they urinate, a post-void residual. We find that that's typically enough to start treatment, to make a working diagnosis. For bladder pain syndrome, if we think that a patient has lesions, then of course the key test is to do a cystoscopy, to look in the bladder, to see the lesions, to biopsy the lesions.
That would be fantastic. I would love to see someone else and get a second opinion.
When I first received the diagnosis, I was extremely, extremely uncomfortable and in pain. And I was freaking out, basically, and crying all the time, crying, and at work, I'm crying. At home, I'm crying. Everywhere I go, I'm crying because I didn't know what the future was going to be for me. I didn't know if I was going to ever feel better, ever be able to enjoy going on a trip with my family, doing things with my family. Just things like that. I was worried that I would never get to do anything enjoyable again. When I first met with Dr. Pain, I was really hopeful that I would get some help, and he was as well. Like, no, there's so many things we can do and so many things that are available to try.
Stacy is an instructive, frustrating is not the right word because she's not frustrating, but her problem is frustrating. So she'd had bladder pain syndrome symptoms for a long time before I started seeing her. And we went through her treatments, and several of the treatments that she had been given, at least a couple of them initially, seemed to be helping her. And then overall, though, year to year, she just kept getting worse. We thought we're going to be able to add treatment, get her completely free of symptoms, stabilize things, and maybe then in the long run actually take her off medicine. We've never been able to get her 100% free of symptoms. That's been particularly frustrating because even though she's functions at a very high level in her day-to-day life, she still almost every day has some symptoms. And with her, I've not been able to crack the code on that one.
Communication is key between both patient and physician. It's a very real disease that can create consternation for all involved.
Equinox is interested in IC-BPS because of the high unmet medical need. There are over 5.5 million women and men in the United States with IC-BPS today, yet only 1 million of these patients have been diagnosed and treated. And while for some conditions 1 million might sound like a lot of patients, in this case there are few effective treatment options, so many of these patients are left in continued pain, especially bladder pain. So while patients may have a number of options, most of the patients find themselves frustrated, not finding a regimen that works right for them, especially to manage the bladder pain. Only 2 of these therapies have been US FDA approved over 20 years ago.
Thanks to Dr. Pain's continued treatment, Stacy is making progress.
It's improved immensely. because he's got me on different medications, different routines, and I'm feeling much, much better. I'm not completely well, I would say, but I have improved to where I can work, I can do anything that I want to do and not necessarily worry all the time about how I'm feeling. My best advice would be to be your own advocate. It's a miserable condition to have, and if you can find someone, the right person to help you, then you can get help.
We see an opportunity to improve ICBPS awareness, hopefully increase diagnosis, and if our clinical trial program is successful, introduce a new and effective treatment option for patients. If not, hopefully we've advanced the science and understanding of ICBPS through our clinical trial program.
The most important take-home message is that isn't one entity. And therefore, you need to work with someone that will help you understand where your problem is coming from, dissect out your disorder and treat you specifically, rather than just doing an algorithm that they think applies to everybody that has those symptoms.
My youngest is graduating from college in June, and I'm looking forward to being able to travel, go places, do things with my husband, and knowing that I'm at a good place, I can manage my ICBPS, and my future looks great.
So glad her future looks so bright.
Absolutely. And here are some websites that will provide much more information about ICBPS. The first one, aqxpharma.com. You can also look at ichelp.org or icbpstips.com.
That was a mouthful.
I know, and if you didn't get all that...
And you can also visit our website at thebalancingact.com, and we will be right back.
The Parkinson's Foundation strives to make life better for those affected by the disease, be it a patient, family members, and even the community. Now, while there is no cure, there are treatments to help manage the symptoms. This morning, I'm joined by 3 women who understand all too well the effects of this disease. Mary Padilla was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2015. Hunter Reno is a social activist raising awareness. And Dreama Stokes, the Parkinson's Foundation Community Development Director. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
Mary, let me start with you. Talk to me about the symptoms and what you started feeling.
My handwriting changed. It became tiny. Another symptom was my voice got very soft. Then one day I had shoulder pain, and which took me to a neurologist's office. And there, after the examination, the neurologist told me that I had the classic symptoms of Parkinson. Then I asked her, will I die from this? And she said no.
It was tough.
Very tough.
Hunter, your aunt, former Attorney General Janet Reno, she had Parkinson's for quite a long time and passed away, unfortunately, due to complications.
Yes, she did.
Can you talk to us on how you became an advocate now?
So my aunt was diagnosed, and my father was also diagnosed just shy of 60. And they lived with Parkinson's for 13 years, 18 years for my Aunt Janet. And I really got to see how Parkinson's disease progressed. I got to see how they really utilized the resources available to them here with the Parkinson's Foundation, how they got involved in Moving Day, and really, you know, how could they deal with some of their symptoms. My father was very active. My aunt really wanted to educate herself on everything, and it was very inspiring.
What is the foundation doing to help families go through something like this?
Well, there's a number of resources that the organization offers. Our mission is to improve the quality of life for people living with Parkinson's. And some ways that we do that is through our 1-800 number, our helpline. They're staffed with healthcare professionals such as registered nurses, social workers. Also, if you go to our website, you'll see a number of information and fact sheets. We have podcasts, publications.
I was reading some statistics here that I wanted to share with you and our viewers. Parkinson's affects 1 million people in the U.S., 10 million worldwide. Approximately 60,000 Americans are diagnosed with Parkinson's every single year.
We want people to know that we're here with you for the whole journey. So you might have a question tomorrow, and then you might also have a question in a year, and to know that we are there for you.
And tell me how the foundation has helped you.
The foundation has provided me with a lot of information. There's a lot of online resources, booklets, seminars, the conference that we attended when it happened in Fort Lauderdale.
Mary, I hear from these two amazing, passionate women, and you as well, that there is hope.
Lots of hope.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. I really do appreciate it very much. And if you'd like more information on the Parkinson's Foundation or anything on this segment, go to our website, thebalancingact.com. I really want to thank the Parkinson's Foundation and all our guests. What a great story of hope. You know, and just to know that Mary's going to Cancun. I just want to tell her, disfruta.
Have a fabulous time. So inspiring. We also want you to head to our Facebook page and our website and follow us on Twitter.
That's right. You can also check out our Instagram. It's at
Julie and Olga.
That's right. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time. I love Cancun. It's such a fun place. You just